Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Yes, I love the energy. Is everyone recovered from the party? Seems like that, right? So my name is Welicki, and I'm super excited to be here today to talk about a topic that is very important to me at a personal level, because my personal mission is the democratization of technology. And today we'll talk about democratizing business innovation. And if you look at the subtitle of this slide that says Power Apps Then, Now, Next, as I was reflecting and preparing for today, I thought I should have called it Power Apps Always. Because I personally believe that Power Apps and Power Platform is one of the best vehicles for that democratization. And I hope that at the end of this session today, you all believe the same with me, which I know many of you already do, so that's awesome. We are starting from a great place. And speaking of democratization, I always like to start grounding ourselves in Microsoft's mission of empowering every person and every organization in the planet to achieve more. And the reason for that is because I believe that Power Platform with Copilot and agents is one of the best ways to make that mission a reality and get us closer as we ever been to achieving it. Now, speaking of democratization, we are doing pretty good on that front. In fact, Power Platform is the #1 most adopted low-code platform, adopted by 97% of Fortune 500 companies, with 56 million monthly active users using the platform every month. So let's take a second and let's think about that number, 56 million people, all of them using the platform every month. That's more than the population of many of the countries we all come from. That's the scale that we are operating at. And also, speaking of leadership, we hold leadership position in reports from top analysts like Magic Quadrant from Gartner, Forrester Wave from Forrester, and not only we hold great leadership positions in both, but those leadership positions get better year over year. But the metric that I'm most excited about is the impact that I can see that many customers, like many of you that are here today, are achieving by using these tools to solve real business problems. And by the impact that this community, this awesome community, is making when we all together set on this journey of democratizing business innovation together. And as we are going to use the next of our time together, I want to do it by highlighting and celebrating 3 of those amazing customers. And we are going to go through 3 cases that probably many of you will see yourselves and your company reflected on. The first one is unlocking the power of the full Microsoft platform. So it's the Power Platform and how it gets augmented when you use it inside of all the rest of the things that Microsoft has to offer. In the second example, we will do the same, but while upholding very high standards of corporate branding. And next, we will build an agentic solution with a team of agents. So how does that sound for the next 55 minutes? Awesome. So let's get to it then. And we will get to with our first customer, that is Suffolk, a construction company in the United States. And for the ones that had the opportunity to visit, this building that you see over here, this is the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Resort. And if you saw this building, this is an example of the type of projects that Suffolk drives. Now, construction projects are super, super complex. And I learned about 3 main reasons why they are so complex. Number 1, people that participate in the project is different every year. Or in every project, sorry. So let me explain. You know how in school, there's always a first-year class, but every year the students are different. For construction projects, there are certain roles, but in every project, the people that take those roles are different people. The second issue is that most of that people are not employees of the company, but rather contingent staff. And the third reason are all the liabilities that come with physical work. So the problem at hand that Saffold had to solve is how do they provide access to 60,000 people that do not work for them, but still manage and give them access to construction sites. And of course, they turned to Power Platform for that. And the place where they started, like many companies in the world, they were using Excel files over email. And every time that you find in a situation where you're using documents and files over email, there is a better way. And usually that better way is the Power Platform. So the first thing that they did is they got those files and they brought them to Dataverse. So they wanted to model the data relationally in a cloud database with proper role access control and security. Next, as soon as they had the data in Dataverse, they added Antra, formerly known as Active Directory for authentication and authorization. And because they were a Microsoft shop, they have information in Graph, which they integrated in that database that was not only secure but complete. And to make things even better, they put all of this in a managed environment, so their admins had more visibility and more control. So now that the data is modeled and is secured, it was time to start building their solutions. And they started to use all the components of the platform to use that solution. I'm going to highlight two. The first one is an application that they use for the back office. So basically, in that application, they were controlling what projects do we have, what people do we have, who is working where. And one of the things that they needed to do was signing liability waivers to make sure that they were legally covered for anything that might happen in the workplace. And for those cases, what they did is they used the flow to automate the creation of those documents. So they went from getting those very important documents handled with emails and paper to having them fully automated in this tool. The second application was one that workers would use to gain access to the construction site. And in that case, they had a legacy system, not a legacy system, actually their payroll system that was built with .NET and hosted in Azure. So they created a custom connector so they could connect to that system such that every time that somebody would tap and get access to the construction site, they would record it in their payroll. It's pretty awesome. And another thing that they did, which today probably is pretty obvious for everyone, but at the time, they were one of the first to do it at scale, they created a conversational bot in the app with Copilot Studio that was grounded in all their documents and the knowledge of their company, such that people that were on the field could ask questions in English or in Spanish about different policies and regulations, and they will get answers in the app. Last but not least, for every secret that they had, anything that had to be securely stored, they used Key Vault. So basically, they were complying to the highest security standards that they needed to. And you might think, this is awesome, it's great, but this is very complicated. The first thing for us to reflect is, look, that it's not just the Power Platform, but they're creating something way much better by combining the entire Microsoft platform that includes Azure, Office, M365, Antra, our developer division tools, etc. And if you're thinking, this is great, but it takes a long time, let me tell you that they've built the first version of this application in 3 months. And as they were evolving it, they saved $1 million per year with this solution. And the other source of savings, it was not just the operational savings, but also the fact that they could replace 10 SaaS solutions as they were evolving this application. The next case that I wanted to introduce is Adidas, who needs no introduction. In fact, I'm wearing mine right now. And as leaders in sportswear, one of the things that they do constantly is they're innovating, innovating, and innovating. And as part of that innovation, they create prototypes that then they need to test. And the way in which they run their tests today is they have these paper documents, which, by the way, is intentionally blurred. This is one of the real documents that they use to test the prototypes. And they exchange those paper documents where they can test prototypes of footwear and apparel. But as they're scaling, they needed a better solution. And of course, Power Platform was the place where they went to seek that solution. So let's see what problem did we have. So in this case, how do we perform 14,000 tests of new footwear apparel prototype every year around the world without paper or without any data gaps. You know, when you move paper around, sometimes some paper gets lost, and then you lose very important information. Data is a corporate asset. And the place where they started is similar than the other one. They started from a bunch of documents that they were moving around. In this case, they were paper documents. And we're not going to drain the solution as we did before, but it's very similar. You could see that it's a very similar solution. They put the data in Dataverse, they secured it with Antra, they augmented it with Graph, managed environments, connected to their corporate systems, all that you saw before. But there was one other thing that they needed. And for Adidas, design is very important. And they needed the solution that they created to reflect and uphold their corporate identity, their brand. And that's what they did. So if you take a look at the solution that they created, this is one of the first versions of that app. And as you see it, it looks like the brand. It looks like Adidas. Now, I know many of you might be thinking, this is awesome. But again, complex solution because of its architecture, but also building a beautiful app. In this case, in Power Apps, it would take a long time. But actually, that was not the case, again. So they built the first version of this app in 8 weeks. And with this application, they're saving 16,000 hours every year as they're evolving it. And another source of saving, similarly than before, is they could replace 3 old systems. Some of them, one of them was 17 years in the company, which could not be replaced, but the evolution of this solution helped them do that. Now, if we recap what we saw so far, is in both cases, and by the way, this is a very common case that I'm sure that many of you can see reflected yourselves or your journey in solutions like this. But in both cases, what we had is we started from a process where we were automating some form of document exchange and processing. And in both cases, we had significant gains by gaining operational savings through running that process much better. And again, in both cases, we get further gains by being able to replace all systems. And this is awesome in by itself, and probably something that many of you are already familiar with. These are the type of stories that probably all of you have. But there is one more thing, and another gain here that is super important, and is not as visible, but it's as important as this or more. And it's the fact that these solutions acted as a bridge between those unstructured and manual processes and readiness to embrace the age of AI. And it was interesting to hear that from both companies mentioning that way, that solving this problem set them up for innovation, but also got them ready to start thinking about how to embrace AI in those companies. And in fact, both of them have super cool projects that I'm very excited about and that I cannot wait to see what they come up with. But this is very interesting, so solutions like this help you get ready. So as we embark in this age of AI, you could easily embark too. And probably you are thinking at this point, it's been 12 minutes here, and I did not hear so much Copilot and agents already. If you're thinking about that, probably you're right. Now I'm going to fix it. Let me get that address for you all. And we are going to switch gears to the AI-first company, because what these solutions created is the bridge from that old way of doing things to becoming an AI-first company. And the AI-first company combines people with their ingenuity, drive, ambition, creativity, with an always-present assistant, a Copilot, the M365 Copilot, augmented by a team of agents that can work through the Copilot or interacting with themselves to augment what those people can do. All of that in a Copilot control system, which the most important thing to take away of that Copilot control system is that we can do all the things that are cool, but in an enterprise-ready and safe way, following all the enterprise guarantees that you know, love, and expect from a company like Microsoft. Now, that journey to AI is not an all or nothing. It's like you are in or you're out. In fact, like everything, it has multiple levels in which you can go on it. And the first level is humans with assistants. So basically, if you're using Copilot or ChatGPT or any form of assistant for your day-to-day work or in your personal life, you are already there. And I would say that probably everyone in this room is already there. And if not, I would recommend just get there. The second level is humans-led agents. So basically, every team is augmented by agents that can take on tasks with different degrees of autonomy. And next is agent-led work. So humans that set a team of agents to help to take on some tasks more autonomously, and the role of the humans is more supervising and teaching, correcting, intervening when needed. But it's more of a supervision role, and those agents taking on more things together, autonomously. Now, the best way and the best place to create those agents, and I'm sure that you all know it already, is Copilot Studio. It doesn't matter what the process is, you could create your agents there. But I'm sure that you already knew this, and you're wondering, yes, sure, but what about apps? What is the role of apps in this age of AI and agents? Are apps still relevant in this age? And I would say absolutely. Absolutely. Apps have a very important place in this age of agents. And let me share how we think about it in the team. We do believe, and by the way, the clicker is killing me, so that's why I'm going so much back and forth. We do believe that apps need agents, and agents need apps. I know that sounds like a tongue twister. It's kind of a mouthful, but let me try to explain it, and then we'll see it with some examples. So if you have an app that you already use every day, wouldn't it be awesome if the things that you do every single day are augmented by agents so you become way more productive at the workflows that you already have? And I would say yes. So that's why apps need agents. Now, if you have teams of agents helping you and work autonomously, wouldn't it be awesome if the people that are the target, if you as the target of those agents, could supervise and control all the work that those agents are doing so you can control and trust them? That would be fantastic. So that's why agent needs apps. So we believe that it's a mutual benefit relationship and that augments both parts of the equation, and that's what we will see in the remainder of this session. So when it comes to Power Apps, the way to think about it is apps become intelligent, and no matter what the role you have in the creation, usage, or administration of an app, you're going to be the manager of a team of agents. You're a maker, you will have a team of agents helping you build. You are an end user, you will have a team of agents helping you be more efficient. And if you're an admin, you will have a team of agents that will help you be more efficient as well. And the combination of Power Apps and Copilot Studio results in a fantastic platform for creating agentic solutions. Because Copilot Studio is the place where you create your agents. And Power Apps is the place where you put them to work for you. And I know you might be thinking, yeah, but I don't always go to Power Apps. Sometimes some of my workflows I start in M365, and of course, the idea is M365 is part of this equation. You should be able to interact with your agents and apps from M365. And also, if you're using Foundry because you want to have more control over the models or fine-tune them as well, we are layered on top of that. So the entire picture includes Foundry and M365. But with Copilot Studio as the place to create agents, Power Apps as the place to put them to work. So according to Gartner, by 2028, at least 15% of the day-to-day work decisions will be made autonomously through agentic AI, from 0% today. That's a huge growth. And also, according to IDC, 1.3 billion new agents will be created. Now, we don't have to wait until 2028 to get started. We can get started today, and that's what we are going to do right here, right now. So let's build something together. But as we build, I want us to do it with a different mindset. The mindset that I want us to have is to be agent bosses. And what does that mean? We are going to be the bosses of a team of agents that are going to help us do everything that we do much better and much more efficiently. And we are going to solve this in the context of Network Rail, UK's Network Rail provider. And at the core of their mission is safety and reliability. It's a huge network rail, impacting 1.6 billion passenger journeys every year. Take note of the scale. This is huge. And as part of that, there are incidents that happen all the time given their scale, and because safety is at the core of their mission, it is key that they can treat those incidents promptly and understand them very well. And we have James here from Network L. I want to embarrass him a little bit. There he is. Yes. Who actually worked with me on all of this. This is the product of James and I and the team working together, but that we are going to share how we are thinking about being agent bosses and preparing for the future. So this is the problem that we are going to set up to build. Enhance operational decision-making to efficiently resolve emergencies impacting 40,000 staff and 1.6 billion passenger journeys annually. Think of this again for a second, 1.6 billion passenger journeys. And this is a very important thing because we are dealing with one of the most precious things, that is human lives and safety. So how is the process run today? A document. And basically the way in which it works, somebody fills up that document and sends it over email to a shared inbox, and then somebody would pick it up from that inbox, a reviewer, and will review to make sure that the incident is properly resolved, and if not, what needs to be done. And once that review is completed, it's going to be stored, but because there's no centralized place to store, it's going to store somewhere that we don't know exactly where it is, so some of these incidents will get lost. And as we saw before, we can do much better, and Power Platform is the way in which we can do much better. So let's get building. So the first thing that we will do as agent bosses is we will build a solution with our own team of specialized agents. And that's what we'll see first. So let's get to building. And my starting point is going to be a document that James shared with me. And it's a pretty good document, actually. It's a one-pager, but very concise, explaining the scope of the problem, the process, and then establishing some key requirements, like, for example, that we need approvals, that this incident starts in draft state, we need to be able to explore the data, navigate the data, we want agents that look for the quality of the data, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy this as is and bring it to the plan designer, because all these agent applications start from a plan. Remember that we are raising the level of abstraction, and rather than asking, I want an app, I want an agent, what we are doing is we are bringing a business problem, and what we are going to do is have a team of agents that will help us create a solution to that. And what I'm going to give it is a bunch of supporting material like the form, empty form, definition of the process, and the review process. And with that, my team of agents now is going to start working to help me solve the problem. And the first agent that just started to work right away is the requirements agent, who is going to find out who needs to participate, who are the personas that need to participate, and what do they need, who they are and what do they need. So let's check it out. We have a field employee, who they are, and also what do they need, their use cases or jobs to be done. And notice that similarly to Office, where I have like all the people that are contributing to me in a document, here I can see myself working together with a team of agents that are going to help me create this solution. So the personas look good. I got like a field employee, a review team member, and a software agent. That's super cool. It's exactly what I wanted. So now the next agent is kicking in. That is the process agent. What this agent will do is understand what business process do I need and model them. So let's take a look at what it's coming up with. We have like incident reporting and submission, incident review. Let's take a look. So basically it looks very good actually, because it took like what I sent as an image as starter, but it made it much better with all the context that it had. And as you can see, I don't have to model it myself. The agent did it for me. And I could engage in a conversation with the agent, but because this looks good, I'm going to invoke the next agent. That is the data agent. And this is like having a database expert that will help us model the data. And we can co-create a model with them. So let's take a look. It recommended a bunch of entities, which I can see in an entity relationship diagram, which is pretty cool, because I can understand what it's This is kind of like the lingua franca of enterprise development, if you will. Of course, not only it created tables, but also it populated them with sample data. And if I wanted to, for example, I see that I don't have like a risk column. I don't. I could ask add a risk column and 20 more rows of data. And I can engage with the agent that way to co-create that model. So doing this thing typically would take me like quite a while, but here I can just ask it. And there's no innovation in adding a column or getting sample data generated with GenAI. But the agent can do that for me in seconds. And if you notice what happened so far, we didn't talk about apps, agents, any technology at all. What we are doing is what you would when you're building real business software, that is trying to understand our requirements, who are we building this for, what are the processes, etc. So it came back, it added the column, and of course, it added the additional rows as I asked, of course. And I know I said it's doing what we believe it did, but I'm mostly sure that many of you in the audience might be thinking right now, hey, this is awesome, but this is not how I build software. And if you might be right if you think that way, because basically you might be thinking, hey, I don't have that much opportunity to creating everything from anew. When I build software, I need to reuse tables that I have, applications that I have, things that I have. For example, in this case, there's an employee table. If we aspire to create a real solution, we are not going to create our own employee table in this solution. We need to use the one that we have from the company. So if that's what you're thinking, you're right. And that was the top feedback that we got in our early access preview. So with Plan Designer, you can bring existing assets into your plan. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So I'm going to remove the people table. And instead, I'm going to add the official employees table. And not only that, not only I added it, I can also create relationship between this table and the others by drag and dropping or with point and click. For example, I could say that one employee will deal with many incidents. And that's all it takes. We combined the old and the new. So we can rapidly create and extend the things that we have. And at this point, I'm good with the data model. So I'm going to engage the last agent, that is the solution architect. And now is when technology comes into place. This is the one that will translate everything that we did so far into what products in Power Platform do we need to use. And it came with some really good suggestions. Notice that it's recommending me an application, it's recommending me a set of flows, and it's recommending me an agent as well. So with the Plan Designer, what we could do is we went from a business solution, from a business problem, to a full solution that includes apps and agents in just minutes. But and the Plan Designer is generally available now. We announced general availability a couple of weeks ago. So this is something that all of you can go do right now. So all of you can build as agent bosses right now. And it's available for everyone to use and try. But another of the things that we said that we wanted to do is we wanted to have complex and beautiful data visualizations. And for that, it would be awesome if we could hire a UX developer to create some cool visualizations for our app. And very often, that's not an option. But if you're an agent boss, you can hire a UX developer agent to do that for you in your application. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to start with something that is not very socially accepted, that is bragging. Because I want to show you this that is pretty cool. You see, I asked the agent, even I had a typo. I asked it to draw 3D sphere with ray tracing using SVG. And that's what I got. Pretty cool, right? And you might be thinking, that's cool, but what does have to do with business software? This is mostly for gaming. But I would say it has everything to do with business software. Because now that we have an agent, we have like a developer that can create those things very quickly, we are going to apply this technique to visualize business data. So let's get to it. I'm going to add a new generative page, where basically I can bring a set of instructions to my software development agent. And I have a prompt here, which I'm not going to explain yet. I'm going to explain it in a minute. But I'm going to give it to this agent. First, of course, I'm going to connect it to the data. So I want to work on the incidents. I'm going to give it this prompt. And right away, my app agent it's going to first start sharing their thoughts, what it will do, what it understood of what I asked, and what will it do about it. And next, it's going to start streaming code. What did I ask? I asked it that it should take all the incidents that are in a region and project them, create spheres like the ones that you saw, where the size of the sphere will be a reflection of how many incidents you have in that region, but the color should be a tone of red based on how many of those incidents are in draft status. Because that's not good. So we want to see like how many, but also the intensity to see where should I put my attention. When I click on one of those regions, I wanted to do an explosion animation or something, and then do the same, but for the routes on that region. So I want to see how many of the incidents in the route are in draft mode. And when I click on a route, what I want to see is I want to see a Kanban board where all the incidents are shown based on the different stages. If I double-click on an incident, what I want to see is a pop-up that shows me details of the incident, and I should be able to drag and drop between the incidents. And as you can see, this is a live demo, of course, of an early access preview feature. So again, I was living dangerously, but I came prepared. So I have the same prompt here that I ran 1 minute before that did work. And basically, this is what we got. So pretty cool. It's the same prompt, actually, as you can see. I mean, it's the same text. And basically, it's giving me the spheres. In this case, I'm going to go to the eastern region that seems to be the bigger and as red as the others. And notice that in this case, this is smaller, but it's more red. The reason being, it has less incidents, so it's smaller, but there are more that are in draft status. So I can click it, and then I can see my Kanban board. And in this Kanban board, of course, if I double-click any one of the incidents, I can see it in a pop-up. And I can drag and drop between the different states, and the data will be updated. In the Dataverse, of course. All of that with just one prompt. And of course, you can give more prompts to the agent to continue refining. But that's the type of power that we are bringing with the agents that you have as a maker and as an agent boss. So what do you guys think? Thank you. I think it's pretty awesome. And what you just saw is called Generative Pages. Right now, it's an early access preview. We are working on quality, by the way. That's the bar to make it public preview. And it's going to be public preview early July. So in a couple of, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks tops, you're going to have it available to use yourself. There's an early access program that if anyone is interested in being part of, let me know, and we'll make sure that we give you access early. But pretty awesome. Now, what did we get? We built a very complex business solution in minutes instead of days. But that's for the maker, right? We were making something. But how about if I'm using a business solution? In general, for every one person that builds a solution, you have dozens or hundreds of people that use it. And what we want to do is we want to empower those hundreds of users to be more effective. We want to give a team of agents also to each and every user of every application that you build. And that's what we will see next. And going back to our framing, apps need agents, agents need apps. What we are going to see now is how to empower the users of the app with agents and why app needs agents. And it all starts with an email that I got from James again. And this email, it's not that great what it says there, because basically what he's telling me is, I started to work on an incident, but I could not finish it. Basically, I'm going to give you a half-filled form and a bunch of images and ask me if I could enter it in the system. And this could mostly kill a big chunk of my morning. Let's take a look. This is the document. So it's a fairly complex document. The description is not here, and it's a lot going on. The description came up in a picture. It's text in an image. And for what will be done, he's giving me handwritten notes. That's very nice handwriting, right? Great job, James. That's awesome. So let's see the form that I need to put this in. The form looks nothing like the document, so probably I'm in for like a not that great of a morning. But one of the good things is that in the team of agents that we have as agent bosses in our application, one of those agents is a data entry agent. So in this case, it's fully connected to my M365 files. This is the file that we just opened. So I'm going to give it to the data entry agent, and it will analyze the file, understand the contents, and do its best to extract the relevant information and bring it to the document. Just a few seconds. And notice, not only it did it, I can understand what it did because it explains its reasoning for every field. This is pretty cool, but if you remember, the outline of the incident was not there. It tried to infer it, and it did actually a pretty good job. So what we will do next is let's bring the actual information that is in this image. And in the old days, what I would do is I would put the image on a side, try to remember all this text, copy and retype it. But with my team of agents, I'm going to give this image to my data entry agent. And it will analyze the image, realize that there is some text, and let me just put the focus here so you can see it. And it will realize also that is the current issue, extract it, and update that field right away, so I don't have to do it. The last piece of information that I got from James was a handwritten note. And again, I should read it and enter it, but I don't have to. The data entry agent can read the written text, extract it, and bring it directly into the form. So let's take a look. It's reading it, and again, as you can see, this is a multi-turn. It's the equivalent, as we wait, of having like an assistant that I can give all these documents, and it's going to be entering it for me. And as you can see, the what will be done has been completed based on the document. So instead of spending like quite a bunch of time reading, entering, and copying, with my data entry agent, I could do that in a few seconds. But that's not the only agent that I have as a user of an application. But notice how the level of empowerment that we are giving every user. This agent is built in on every application that you create with the Plan Designer. So it's just right there. So let's look at the next. So in this case, we were looking at the regions, and we found that there was some issue with the Anglia region. But what I would like to do is explore the data. Now that I have all the data in a single place, wouldn't it be awesome if I could do some exploratory research? And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to ask, show me all incidents in the Eastern region with incident status. Notice how I'm getting all this autocomplete. Incident status equals draft over last month, grouped by route. So I want to understand all the incidents that are in draft that happened last month, grouped by all the different routes in the region. This will be passed to the data exploration agent, who in turn will translate this into three things. First, a query to filter the data. Second, because I asked that grouping, it realized that this will be better served by a chart, so it gave me a chart. And this chart is generated at runtime, so no developer wrote it. It's being generated based on my ask. And the third thing is that it's recommending me to rewrite the prompt for better results. I'm not sure if to be happy or offended by this third one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it for now. And this visualization is great, but I would prefer to see this as a pie chart. So I'm going to ask that to the agent. And it will go ahead and do it for me. So that will help me not only filter the results, but better visualize them. And let's give it a second. Let's take this away. And indeed, there seems to be an issue with Anglia because there are more issues there than in other places. This chart that was generated automatically not only is generated, but also fully connected to the data. So if I click it, it helps me drill further. And as I'm seeing all these incidents, I would love to understand more, but I don't want to leave this page. So what I'm going to do is I want to see a summary which is presented here without me leaving, giving me all the information that I need just in the place that I am right now, without the need of any further navigation. It's pretty cool. So I can see everything that I need, and I can do that for every incident. But notice that seems that this is an outlier. One thing that would be super cool, now that we established that this is the region that we are interested in learning about, I would love to know more about that region. There are like many of them, and I cannot know everything about them. So the next step would be go to like the corporate website of Network Rail to learn more about it. But I don't want to leave my application, and I don't want to leave this page. The good news is I don't have to. You see, Power Apps has a built-in agent as well, which in this case, we grounded with the knowledge of the Network Rail website in Copilot Studio. So I can ask here, can you give me details about the Anglia route from the Network Rail website? And the agent will go ahead, and because it's grounded in all that knowledge from the website, respond right here, so I don't have to leave. And indeed, it gave me all the info that I needed and links if I wanted to learn more, but what I got here is enough, and I can see like the scale is the scale that I need and everything. So then, it is time for me to do another query, because the next thing that I want to understand is, was there any day where I had a spike, a particular bad day, or is this how this place operates? So I'm going to write one final query that will help me understand the data. And in this case, I'm going to ask to show all the incidents, display as a daily trend over time, based on the date of the incident. And as you could see, I was exploring the data. So first, I was trying to find where do I have an issue, should I care about that issue? And next, I found what's the shape of the issue that I'm looking for. And as you can see, I don't see any spikes. In fact, this seems to be the normal type of incidents that you would have at this scale. So now, crisis averted, I can go put my attention anywhere else. And by the way, we picked the Anglia route as an example. This is not reflective in any shape or form of anything in the real world. This is just an example that we are using here. But you could see like how with a data exploration agent, in seconds, I could explore my data without having to even know how to use the tools. I was just using my words and expressing what I needed in the context of what I was doing. So what we just saw is a team of in-app agents that can build in any application that you have. We saw the data entry agent, which saved us a lot of time to enter that complex form, handwritten notes, data from image, any form of unstructured content or structure, it will bring very quickly into the app. We saw the data exploration agent, where we could ask questions and make requests, and it would understand and give us the best shape of data to help us do that analysis or find what we are looking for. We saw the inline summaries. And also one thing that I did not show, but is super cool, is for any one of these things that I was doing, I could have created inline an agent that would automate that task. Let's say that report that I did for the route, send it to me every week. And I could create inline agents that save me to go and click the app every day. And this is why apps need agents. And this is just only a subset of all the awesome things that you can do with agents in your applications. And by the way, in case that you were wondering, training those agents, the data entry and the data exploration agent come fully trained. We put a lot of effort in data science to make sure that they're awesome, and we put a very high quality gate. But also, even as much as we do, different companies work differently. And like with any collaborator, you might want to train it to match the way you work. So we have an early access preview where for the data entry agent, you can teach it by giving it examples. So basically, those agents that are part of your team of agents as an agent boss can be trained to match any requirements that you have. But next, what we saw seems, remember when we were going to, well, first, what did we get? We achieved in seconds things that would have taken hours. Remember when we started and I got that email, I thought it was going to burn all my morning. I could get it done in just a few seconds. But this, when we were going through the levels of transformation, seems more like level 2. I had all these agents that helped me, but I'm kicking them off myself. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could have agents working for us all the time, even when we are not working? For example, in this case, I want to have an agent that is looking all the time at the quality of the incidents. Or another agent that is looking incidents that are in draft mode for such a long time and let the owner know, or maybe let me know that I need to do something, and so on and so forth. If that were to happen, and if I have agents working with me, even when I'm not working, what I need is a way to supervise them so I can gain trust. I know what they're doing. You would never, with any type of collaborator, let them go and check, and that applies to agents as well. So what will we see now is how to supervise the work of our team of specialized agents. And also, going back to our framing, this is why agents need apps. And what you're seeing right now is the agent feed that we believe is going to be the starting place for many of the applications in the future. And the feed is a pattern that I'm sure you all are very familiar with. Like, for example, if you want to know what your friends are up to, you might go, depending on how old you are, to Instagram, to Facebook, or whatever social network of choice to see what they're doing. And you will see a list of activity prioritized to match your interests. If you want to know what your professional network is up to, you will go to LinkedIn, see a feed of activity of your professional contacts matching your interests. And if you want to know what your team of agents is doing, you will come to the agent feed, where you will get a feed of activity prioritized also to the things that are important to you. So let's take a look. So in this case, I have the feed of agents, feed like in any other of those products as I mentioned, but let's take a look at a few interesting parameters. So here, I have my team of agents. So in this case, I have 4 agents. In any one of these applications, at any time I can hire agents with basic lists, registering them with the application, and they will show up here. These are agents that are relevant for the process that we are running right now. I could filter them in, filter them out, see only one, see them all. But the important thing is that I can be up to date with all of the agents or anyone that I'm interested in. I have also other pivots that I can have, and this is very important. Because remember, we want to supervise, but we also want to help. So I could see agents that need my assistant. This is places where the agents could not complete the work, and they need me to do something. And remember, because the feed is part of the application, I can jump directly to the screen where the work will need to be done. I can see suggested actions. You can set up an agent in your application that looks at your data and tells you what to go do next. So agents recommending me where should I focus to be more effective at my job. What did I complete myself? What did my agent complete? And a few other things. So let's take a look at any one of these. When we deep dive, we can see everything that happened. And in this case, the agent could not complete this one. But if I focus on this one, the ones that the agent complete, I can understand all the work that the agent did at any point in time, when I was working and when I was not. And not just see what was it, but also the details of what did it do. I get a readable summary and a visually understandable set of activities. If the agent needs my assistance, I can just focus on that and see places where the agent tried to create an incident automatically, but it couldn't. But you get the idea. The main thought is that in any business process that you have, where you have an application, that you have agents working, you can hire a team of agents, and the way in which you supervise, control, and understand what they do is with a feed that gives you a lot of control over what you can filter and how to see the different activities of the agent, and it's a pattern that you already know and use across many other applications in your daily life. And this is one of the reasons why agents need apps. The agent feed is in public preview. So the way in which you use it, when you are creating your application, you can register all the agents that you want to be part of that process. And all those agents that are registered with your application will be available in the feed, including the ones that you can create dynamically in the application yourself. So what did we get? By having a feed like this, you get a system that is always working for you, but you can control and you can trust. And that's super, super important. Today, in most of the tools where you use agents, the only person that can see like this type of insight on what the agent is doing is the maker of the agent, the person that created the agent. But here we are going one step further, and if you create an agent that is going to be used by 1,000 users, that 1,000 users can have this level of visibility and control over the activity of the agent, so they can use it in a way, again, that they can control and trust. And as you're thinking, this sounds awesome, but if we can build agents and apps so easily, how do we control it? How do we govern it? And the good news is that all of this is built on top of our managed platform, which means that it comes with governance, security, and operations all built in from day zero. Apps come with monitoring. You can see your list of agents. You can get recommendations with our advisor agent. And of course, you get all the runtime guarantees that you know and expect from Microsoft, but also all the tools to make sure that you can, again, govern, secure, and operate your agent applications. And what does this mean for network Rails? I got this quote from Simon Goodman, their CIO. And in their own words, basically, they're seeing like a big bump in productivity. Basically, they see that with this type of tools and with this type of powers, they can create more solutions to more business problems faster. And I asked them another question. In addition to like, what does it mean to them? What is the impact that they expect to get from this? And granted, they have been using Plan Designer. They are early adopters. I mentioned that we GA'd 2 weeks ago, but they were early adopters using the tools early on, giving us feedback and trying it early. So that's why they have all this level of insight. And when I was asking, what impact are you seeing? I was very pleasantly surprised to see this number. And again, it was not me priming it. I mean, that's the number that I got, which again circles back very nicely to Ryan's keynote. And how do they get this? Well, in their observations, and again, early observations, because this has been GA only a couple of weeks, they found that the projects that they tried could go 10x faster. And they are projecting very significant savings based on the number of projects that they plan to do in a year. And again, these numbers are super ambitious and are all future-looking. But the key takeaway is this type of technologies and processes help us be bold and set up objectives that otherwise would have been unthinkable, but now we can think of them, and most importantly, we can achieve them. And again, I was talking about the agent boss thing, so I wanted to illustrate what does it mean to me. As we were saying that with Agent Boss, you have this team of digital collaborators. Like with any other collaborators, I like to put them on some form of structure, create an organization of those collaborators, so I can give them different tasks and I can get help in different areas. The team that you see here of agents is not very different than the one that we saw a few minutes as we were building the application. And in fact, this is the team that helped me build everything that we saw today. And this is what I use actually almost every day. So for development, I use the agents in Power Apps. I create a lot of Power Apps, but I also use GitHub Copilot, Visual Creator. For productivity, because I use a lot of Power Apps, I use all the agents in Power Apps, but also I use a lot of M365 Copilot. And I'm not sure if you're using it, but if you're not, Researcher is amazing. If you're not using M365 Researcher, you're missing out. You should start using it today. It's fantastic. So Researcher lets you do deep research on any topic, which if you would do it on your own, it would take you read all the state of the art and synthesize it yourself. If you're lucky enough to have a team, you would ask a team member of yours to go and research a topic and come back with a report. With Researcher, you have that power at your fingertips. So you ask for something, it will go, take some time and come back with whatever report, just like you would do with a human expert that would do that research for you. An analyst does the same for data science. But the key takeaway, the key thing here is not just the actual agents that are going to be different for everyone, but you know that saying that they say, you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by someone that knows how to use AI. Think of everyone that has this type of empowerment thanks to this team of agents. And how would that person be compared with someone that is using none of this? I tell you, I use these agents every day, and they augmented significantly the set of things that I could do. Not using them would be like 30 years ago comparing someone that knows how to use a computer and someone who does not know how to use a computer. So just wanted to put it in context that this is the team of agents that helps me as an agent boss, and you could create your own. And in the session that we saw, again, speaking of our protocol to work with agents, most of the things that agents help us do, are things that anyway I would not like to do. Who likes filling up forms? Or who likes writing queries against tables? Or if you're designing a database, creating columns or creating sample data, you're defining a process that you have, just redraw it on a tool. Those are things that not only are not fun to do, also hold you back from innovating. So basically, this team of agents that I have as an agent boss help me to translate my ideas and my needs into output faster, so I could really put more time into activities that generate more value for me and for my organization. So in case that you're wondering, this sounds great, how can I get started? I'd say it's the easiest thing ever. Start building today. Almost everything that I've shown you today is available right now. And it's available right now, and for you to use, you can use it the same way that I did. And with that, I want to leave you with 3 tips, 1 call to action, and 1 invitation. The tips are on how to apply AI as you start building. So first, start bottoms up. So empower everyone in your teams or yourself with AI. Everyone should have access to the AI tools, learn them, and use them at all levels in the organization. The next one, don't try to do everything. Don't try to boil the ocean. Pick like a small set of projects, 2, 3, 5, you name it, but not too many, but do them awesomely. Projects that are representative that you can do to start building that muscle, learning and understanding how to apply AI to your organization. Because the third tip is that there is no one-size-fits-all for AI. And that's why all these things are highly interconnected. That's why it's very important that everyone in your organization understands the AI tools, because since there's no one-size-fits-all, you will need to apply your human creativity and drive to find what's the best way to solve each problem that you have at hand with AI. In terms of the call to action, start rethinking your processes with agents today. That's one thing, again, as I said, the technology is there, the scenarios are there. A lot of people achieve success, and actually, this is a great place. We have an amazing community, a lot of folks that already did it, so this is a good place to establish that connection and learn from others that went on that journey, and go on that one yourself. And as you do, know that you and your teams can be agent bosses today too. So it doesn't take building an application to do this. You could use M365 Researcher, M365 Analyst. The bar to employing agents to help you solve problems is very, very low. They are already there for you to use. And now my invitation. The best place to learn about Power Platform in the world right now is right here in Vienna. But I would like to extend an invitation to the Power Platform community in Vegas that we will have in October, where I'd love to see many of you. Last year, I had the pleasure of meeting many of you in Brussels, and then again in Vegas, and I hope that we can repeat that experience as well. So join us end of October in Vegas, where we are going to all gather again to talk about, celebrate Power Platform and its wonderful community. And with that, that's all that I had for today. Thank you very, very much for joining me today, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your conference. Keep building.